Ladies and gentlemen, the birthday party filled with laughter and happy tears at Aunt Ben's house has come to an end. The old wooden door closed, shutting away the warm light inside and returning the forest to its natural nighttime silence. Jack and Tien decided not to get in the car just yet. They wanted to take a short walk under the moonlight, breathing in the freezing but pure air of the great wilderness. This moment is truly beautiful, isn't it, friends? After the 20 days and nights, Tien was missing after the fight for survival, after the noise of the city. This is the moment they can truly be together, hand in hand, in a strange kind of peace. Jack held Tien's small hand tight. He could feel her warmth, living proof that she was right there beside him, not just a dream. Jack silently thought, "Thank God, the storm has finally passed." But, friends, as the old saying goes, the calmest seas come right before the biggest storms. In that quiet space, Tien suddenly slowed down. She didn't speak. She just squeezed Jack's hand a little tighter. Under the dim moonlight, her face was deathly pale, stripped of the rosy glow from her smile just moments before. She was trying to hide a wave of dizziness crashing over her. She didn't want to worry Jack. She didn't want to ruin this perfect evening. But the human body has its limits, and Tien's limit seemed to have been reached. They were passing an ancient tree when suddenly Tien stopped completely. She put a hand to her forehead, swaying like she was about to fall. Jack rushed to catch her panic in his voice. "What's wrong, Tien? Are you tired?" Tien tried to open her mouth to say, "I'm fine," but she felt a warm liquid gushing from her nose. It was fast, heavy, and uncontrollable. Drip, drip! Drops of liquid fell onto the back of Jack's hand. In the dark, Jack touched it. It was wet and sticky. He turned on his phone's flashlight. And friends, the scene before him made his heart skip a beat. Blood. It was fresh blood. It was pouring from Tien's nose, soaking her pale lips and dripping onto her white sweater like flowers of death. Tien covered her nose in fear, but the blood seeped through her fingers. Jack froze for a few seconds. In his mind, the terrifying images of the 20-day search for his wife came rushing back. Was it an internal injury? Was she poisoned in the forest? Or was some terrible disease hiding inside her? The fear of losing her again choked him. But Jack wouldn't let himself be weak. He quickly pulled out a handkerchief from his pocket, the one he had carried with him ever since she gave it to him. His hands trembling, he wiped the blood for her. The stark white cloth turned crimson in an instant. "Tilt your head back. Hurry, honey." Jack's voice cracked, losing his usual composure. After some first aid, the bleeding finally stopped. But Tien's face was now as pale as a wilted banana leaf. Seeing the sheer terror in Jack's eyes, Tien gave a weak smile, trying to act like she was okay. She forced out the words, "Don't worry. I probably just ate too much hot food, so I got a little nosebleed. Or maybe it's just the dry weather. I'm fine, really. I'll just go home and sleep and I'll be fine." "You're fine." Jack suddenly snapped. It wasn't anger born of hate, but anger born of fear. He gripped Tien's shoulders, looking straight into her eyes burning with intensity but filled with tears. "Look at yourself. You call this fine blood, soaking a whole handkerchief, is just because of the dry weather. Chi, satiki." Jack took a deep breath to calm down his voice, dropping choked with emotion. "Tien, do you know how I lived? For those 20 days, I lived like a body without a soul. I was always terrified. Terrified I'd find you, but you wouldn't be breathing. Now you're back, and you're going to be this careless with your health?" Tien lowered her head, tears starting to fall. She understood. She understood how traumatized Jack was. Jack continued, his voice full of anxiety. "You were in the deep forest for 20 days, eating wild plants, drinking creek water, getting bitten by insects. Who knows what disease is incubating inside you? What if it's parasites? What if it's blood poisoning? A random massive nosebleed like this isn't simple, honey." Jack's words were a wake-up call for Tien. It was true. She had felt strange lately. Frequent headaches, bruises on her limbs, and now this gushing nosebleed. Had the Grim Reaper not let go of her yet, not letting Tien hesitate for another second, Jack made a firm decision, allowing no refusal. "Listen to me. Tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. sharp, I'm taking you to the Central Hospital. You need comprehensive tests. Blood tests, brain scans, liver and kidney checks. We are doing everything." Tien started to say, "But it's so expensive, honey." Jack cut her off immediately. "I don't care how much it costs. I'll sell the house. I'll sell the car if I have to. But I can't take care of your life if you hide your illness. Promise me tomorrow we go to the doctor." Facing her husband's determination and immense love, Tien nodded through her tears. Jack helped her into the car. He took off his thick coat and wrapped it around her, carefully buckling her seatbelt like he was caring for a child. The car rolled into the dark night. Neither said another word. Tien leaned her head against the window, staring into the pitch-black darkness. She touched her nose. The metallic smell of blood still lingered. A vague fear rose in her heart. Why was the blood flowing? So heavily. Why were those bruises on her arms refusing to fade? Was this just ordinary exhaustion? Or was it the sign of a terminal illness, the consequence of 20 days of torture in the treacherous jungle? Jack drove, his eyes fixed on the road, but his hands gripped the steering wheel so tight his knuckles turned white. He prayed silently. He begged God not to mock him anymore. He had just found her. Please don't force him to face another death sentence named disease. What will the medical results be tomorrow? Will it be good news or a devastating shock that will break Jack completely? Where will the fate of the small girl Tien lead? Last night was a sleepless night for Jack. The image of Tien's blood-soaked handkerchief haunted his mind, replaying on a loop like a horror movie with no end. As soon as the first rays of sunlight appeared, Jack woke Tien up. He wouldn't allow her to delay for another second. This morning, the sky was gray, the atmosphere gloomy, as if signaling a storm about to hit the young couple. On the car speeding toward the Central Hospital, the silence was so heavy, one could almost hear Jack's heart pounding. Tien curled up in the passenger seat, her face pale dark circles under her eyes from lack of sleep. She stole a glance at Jack, seeing his jaw clenched tight, his hands gripping the wheel until the veins popped. She knew he was scared, and she was terrified too. Jack didn't say a word, but 1,000 worst-case scenarios were running through his head. Why was she bleeding so much? Was it the after effects of 20 days eating wild plants and drinking toxic stream water? Or was it some incurable disease that had been incubating inside her for a long time without him knowing? The car stopped at the hospital gate. The pungent smell of antiseptic hit their noses, making Tien shudder. Jack grasped her hand firmly, leading her straight into the examination department. His hand was warm, transferring a bit of strength to her so she could face the truth about to be revealed. The chief doctor's office was dead silent. The elderly doctor, wearing reading glasses, stared at Tien, then looked down at the preliminary medical record. His voice was deep and grave. "Tell me, when did these nosebleeds start? How frequent are they?" Tien hesitated. She glanced at Jack, seeing him staring at her, waiting for an answer. She lowered her head, mumbling, It's been almost a month now." "What?" Jack exclaimed, unable to believe his ears. Almost a month. That means before she even got lost in the forest, or during the days she was fighting for survival. Jack turned to his wife, his voice trembling with a mix of pain and accusation. "Tien, why did you hide this from me? You've been bleeding for a month, and you treat it like it's normal. Do you value your life at all?" The doctor signaled Jack to calm down. He furrowed his brow, his expression becoming more serious. "A month is a long time. Do you have any other symptoms? Headaches, dizziness, any unexplained bruising on the skin?" Tien nodded. "Yes, I get dizzy often, and sometimes purple bruises appear on my arms and legs, even though I haven't bumped into anything." Hearing this, the doctor's face fell. He didn't state a conclusion immediately, but his eyes reflected deep concern. He tapped his pen on the desk, then turned to Jack. "Young man, this situation isn't as simple as overheating or rhinitis. These symptoms are very likely related to blood pathologies or the spinal cord. I need you to take her for comprehensive testing immediately. X-rays, CT scan of the brain, complete blood count. Do everything, skip nothing." The phrase blood pathologies hit Jack like a bolt of lightning. His knees buckled. He understood exactly what the doctor was implying. Leukemia, bone marrow failure, or some other terrifying name. The whole world seemed to collapse before the eyes of this strong man. The race against time began. Jack took Tien from one room to another, watching his wife look so small inside the giant cold CT machine, watching needles draw syringe after syringe of dark red blood from her slender arm. Jack felt a pain, like salt being rubbed into an open wound. If only he had paid more attention to her. If only he had noticed those bruises sooner. Time dragged on like centuries. 1 hour, 2 hours, then 4 hours passed. Tien was exhausted. She leaned her head on Jack's shoulder and fell asleep, worn out from the endless series of tests. As for Jack, he sat there, his eyes glued to the electronic board, waiting for his wife's name to appear. Every time the doctor's door opened, his heart skipped a beat. He was afraid. He was afraid the doctor would step out and shake his head. He was afraid to hear the words, "We are very sorry." Finally, after all the procedures were done, they returned to the chief doctor's office. In the doctor's hand was a thick stack of papers and black and white X-rays filled with strange shapes. The atmosphere in the room grew heavy taut as a violin string. Jack held his breath and asked, "Doctor, my wife, what's wrong with her? Is it dangerous?" The doctor adjusted his glasses, scanning the test results. He remained silent for a long time, a silence that felt like it was killing them. Then he looked up, his voice calm but firm. Currently, I see some very abnormal blood markers. Her white blood cell count is high, and her platelets have dropped significantly. However, to give an accurate diagnosis of exactly what disease it is and what stage I need to consult with other specialists and wait for the bone marrow biopsy results. Jack was impatient. What does that mean? Doctor, just give it to me straight? The doctor shook his head. I can't just guess. This is a matter of life and death. You two should go home. Come back here tomorrow morning. When I have all the results, I will have a definitive answer. Seeing the panic on Jack's face, the doctor lowered his voice to comfort him. Don't worry too much. Medicine is very advanced these days. Until we have the final results, nothing is certain. Just go home, rest, and make sure she eats well. Keeping spirits high is the most important thing right now. Wait until tomorrow. To a normal person, that phrase just means 24 hours. But for Jack and Tien right now, it felt like 24 agonizing years. They walked out of the hospital as the afternoon sun began to fade. No conclusion had been reached, only a vague but massive fear engulfing them. Tien looked at Jack, forcing a smile. The doctor said not to worry, honey. It's probably nothing, but Jack knew the doctor was just trying to keep them calm. Those abnormal test results don't lie. Tonight will be a long, fateful night. Tomorrow when the sun rises, will they receive good news or a death sentence for their blossoming love? What cruel disease has been hiding inside that little girl's body after a month of silent suffering? It all remains a terrifying mystery. We will pause the story here. Please join us in praying for Tien. Don't forget to tune in for the next episode tomorrow to find out the final results. Goodbye, and see you next time.